Debt has ruined lives, but it also has made millionaires. So is all debt bad? Today, we're going to uncover the truth and show you how to use debt to your advantage or avoid it altogether. Hi, this is Enrique. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about good debt versus bad debt. So what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of debt? Do you think of panic attacks? Do you think of a lot of stress? Maybe you can't sleep at night? Or maybe do you see debt as a chance for a new opportunity? So the truth is that this can be actually both ways. So it can also sink your finances faster than you can imagine, or you can actually have debt help you to be able to reach to a point where you do have a lot of wealth. So good debt usually helps you acquire assets and improve your earning potential, versus bad debt does the opposite. It drains your finances without adding long-term value. So what are examples of good debt? So a mortgage would be another good example of good debt. So as you pay down the mortgage, you eventually start building equity on that home. The home will start appreciating in value while you're paying down that loan. You would have student loans that are in high demand fields. So what's an example? So let's say that someone decided to go and get a $20,000 student loan and they ended up landing a six-figure career. Then that would be a good example of good debt, because that will pay for itself and it will actually have long-term benefits to your career. And business loans, once you start getting out a loan for your business and your business starts growing and your business starts becoming profitable, you turn that debt into a tool for the business to make it grow. So what are examples of bad debt? So let's say that you have credit card debt, which is the worst kind of debt, and you charge $5,000 on a vacation that you took to Europe first class on something that you couldn't afford. At an interest rate of 20% or maybe even 30%, that debt could balloon to eventually having you pay $10,000 for that vacation, or more if you continue to just make the minimum monthly payments. Payday loans are even worse. Some of them have interest rates of up to 300%. These loans trap a lot of people into a big cycle of debt that it's very hard to get rid of. It's very difficult to be able to escape these types of loans. And you have car loans, especially ones on luxury vehicles, that depreciate very quickly. So I think it's very important for you to focus on the good debt versus the bad debt, and also make sure that you try to get the most favorable interest rate that you possibly can. So let's talk about some gray areas of debt. So you have student loans that, again, if you do decide to get them and you eventually end up with a good high-paying career, then that would be considered good debt. But if you got a student loan, if you got it for a career that had very limited job prospects, then that is a recipe for disaster. Similarly, a mortgage can be considered bad debt if you overextend yourself and become house poor. So what are the pros and cons of having debt? So debt, when used responsibly, can open doors. A mortgage can turn into equity, student loans can turn into a career, and business loans can create great opportunities and fund bigger ideas in the future. But debt, even good debt, comes with a lot of risk. You can lose your job, you can have a big market crash, or unexpected expenses can lead to a financial nightmare. So what would be an example of good debt? So let's say that a person took out a $20,000 student loan and landed a good career that makes six figures, and you secure that job. That would be example of a good debt. Or what would be example of bad debt? You would go and you take out a luxury vehicle and then you struggle with the payments and you end up getting your car repossessed. Same thing with the mortgage. A mortgage can be considered bad debt if you buy a larger house than you can afford or the housing market crashes. So what would be some tips that maybe you can use to be able to manage your good debt? So one of the things that I usually do, I would make sure that I will only borrow what I need, that I would understand the terms and the interest rates that I'm being given, and that I'm focusing on the ROI, whether it be the income increase or the property appreciation. And how do I avoid bad debt? I would definitely try to use a budget to avoid overspending. Make sure you have a good emergency fund. I've recommended many times 18 months is your ultimate goal, but for most people, they say that usually 6 months is a pretty good barometer. Avoid impulse purchases. Make sure that you think twice about buying those luxury items that you see at the mall or online, and pay off all your high interest rate debt as soon as you can. So is debt good or bad? It depends on who you ask. So a lot of financial experts argue that good debt is key to building financial wealth. It allows you to leverage other people's money to be able to invest, whether it be in student loans to be able to get a good career, have a business that'll generate a lot of profits in the future, or for you to be able to invest in property that'll build equity in the future as well. On the other hand, you have a lot of people that argue debt in general is considered bad overall. All debt is tied to interest rates. Right now, we're in a situation where in most cases, a lot of people are paying a higher amount of interest to be able to secure any type of debt, whether it be a mortgage for a business or education. Now, I think it's very important for you to focus on things that really do matter. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there that show people making ridiculous decisions, getting themselves into credit card debt for unnecessary expenses. You have people taking unnecessary luxury trips, buying unnecessary luxury handbags and other gadgets, and focusing on material things that depreciate over time and do not actually help them improve their quality of life. Maybe they have short-term satisfaction when they purchase these things, but the long-term effects outweigh the short-term effects. Then you have a lot of people that are purchasing vehicles that are more expensive than they need to be. You have regular vehicles that take you from point A to point V. If you need to get to work every day, there's no need to purchase a vehicle that almost has the same value as what you would earn an entire year. So I've personally have seen people that are making $50,000 a year and they're getting a $50,000 value vehicle, which in my opinion, I think it's unnecessary because it's not worth your time and effort to work all that time to pay this depreciating vehicle, because when it's all said and done, if you are able to finish paying this vehicle off, that car is only going to be worth a fraction of what you paid for it. All your equity, all the time that you spent going to work every single day to pay down this vehicle for the money just to be withered away in thin air. But then you have other people that are focusing to be able to invest in a business that'll probably lead to a return of investment of way more. So you have people starting businesses. Maybe they're spending $5, $10, $15, $20,000 on starting a business, but maybe that business will generate $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, or even more. I personally have known many people that have started their small businesses with 5, 10, 15 grand, and now these people, they're making $500,000 a year gross, which I think is great. Those are the types of things that you should be focusing your energy on, especially now that we enter a new year. A lot of people have a lot of new goals. That's why it's very important for people to focus and outline what are the pros and cons of the things that you're investing in. You have to be able to make yourself aware of the things that you're purchasing on a daily basis. Invest in yourself. Make sure that you buy good food for yourself within your means. Make sure you invest in vitamins and supplements to be able to fortify yourself so that you can go out there and make more money and to be able to help other people as well. Right now, there's a lot of crisis in the United States. And so a lot of this crisis is because people have not taken the appropriate measures to be able to make the correct decisions, to put their money where it best makes sense. Then you have a lot of people that choose to put a lot of money into properties. So you do have to be very careful when you decide to invest in real estate, especially when it comes to investing in distressed real estate, because a lot of people don't understand that once you start buying property that has a lot of damage, as soon as you start fixing it, unexpected expenses may come. So this could be a very tricky area where you have to make sure that you do your due diligence before you start investing in real property. You have to make sure that you surround yourself with professionals that know what they're doing so that you don't fall in a trap of ending up in a situation where maybe you can no longer afford this property and you have to sell it at a loss. There's a lot of real estate investors out there that have been over leveraged. In the last financial crisis, when all the housing prices plummeted, you had a lot of over leveraged real estate investors that lost a lot of equity all of a sudden, and they had to get rid of their properties in either a foreclosure or a short sale, and that ruined their credit. So that's why it's very important that if you do decide to invest in these types of properties, that you also have the capital and the emergency fund to be able to weather the storm of unexpected expenses that may come up if you decide to invest. Now that you know the difference between good debt and bad debt, what's your take? Can debt ever be good, or is it a trap? Let me know in the comments below. And if you find this video helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos that I think will make you a better person. And we'll go ahead and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.